Vice President Sara Duterte confirms making a request for the controversial 125 million peso confidential fund of her office last year. The amount was part of the 221.4 million peso budget transferred to the Office of the President by the Department of Budget and Management in December 2022. During the hearing of the Senate Committee on Finance on the OVP's proposed 2024 budget, Duterte explains her office has requested the secret funds as early as August 2022.
The Office of the President charged to Contingent Fund 2022 and transferred to the Office of the Vice President 221,424,000 pesos. Is this a correct factual statement, Madam Vice President?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, I cannot answer to the amount. The amount is correct. Yes, the amount is correct, and that is correct. We requested confidential funds to the Office of the President as early as August 2022, and we were only granted the confidential funds on December 2022.
However, Pimentel points out that the confidential fund did not exist in the 2022 budget of the OVP.
Parang na-augment for year 2022 kasi ito eh. There was no item in the OVP budget for confidential expense in year 2022. So it's not even 1 peso. It's nothing. It's zero. And then it's not even mentioned in the line item budgeting for the OVP. And yet, at year's end, calendar year 2022, we will now have an entry of 125 million pesos charged to a line which did not exist at the very beginning.
Duterte reiterates her office's request for the secret fund was granted by the Office of the President through the DBM.
I think the Department of Budget and Management can better answer the question of the transfer of funds from their source to the Office of the Vice President. However, but nevertheless, we complied with the reportorial requirements of the use of the funds as confidential funds.
House Deputy Minority Leader and ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro earlier claimed that Duterte's office spent the 125 million peso confidential fund in just 19 days, from December 13 to 31, 2022. The Senate Committee on Finance has approved the 2.3 billion peso budget of the Office of the Vice President for 2024. The requested budget of the OVP includes a whopping 500 million peso allocation for confidential and intelligence funds, which the Senate committee retained. Vice President Sara Duterte tells senators that the OVP is not insisting on the inclusion of the confidential funds, but remarks how the funds would ensure safe implementations of her office's projects.
We can only propose, but we are not insisting. We can live without confidential funds. But of course, our work will be much easier if we have the flexibility of confidential funds in monitoring the safe, secure, and successful implementations of the programs, projects, and activities of the Office of the Vice President.
Senator Risa Hontiveros, however, reminds Duterte that confidential and intelligence funds are not allowed to be used for salaries or other benefits of government officials and employees or elected officials except when authorized by law.
Confi and Intel funds cannot be used for representation, consultancy fees, or entertainment expenses, or construction or acquisition of buildings or housing structures.
Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel likewise questions that the OVP's basis was in requesting the said confidential budget.
When you looked at the Constitution and any other law, what legal basis led us to, in the first place, include it in our proposed budget, that 500 million pesos confidential fund?
Duterte, on the other hand, says the request for the confidential fund is backed by a 2015 joint circular issued by the Commission on Audit and 4 other government bodies, which allows national government agencies to propose for secret funds. A Manila Regional Trial Court acquits confessed drug dealer Kerwin Espinosa for violating Republic Act No. 9516 or the illegal possession of firearms and explosive law. This case was related to the August 2016 police raid of the Espinosa residence in Sitio Tinago, Barangay Binulho in Albuera, Leyte. The court notes Marcelo Adorco's testimony against Espinosa, which was recanted after claiming he was only coerced, threatened, and intimidated to sign it. According to the court, the firearms and ammunition were all taken from the houses of Kerwin's father, late Albuera Leyte Mayor Rolando Espinosa, and that Kerwin has no knowledge about these. During the raid, Espinosa and his family were abroad. Based on court records, they left the Philippines on June 21, 2016 for Malaysia, Hong Kong, and Abu Dhabi. Espinosa was arrested in Dubai on October 17 of the same year and was deported to Manila on November 16, 2016. Following this acquittal, Espinosa is now left with one more drug-related case in Baybay, Leyte and two other cases for violating the Anti-Money Laundering Act. President Bongbong Marcos flew to Jakarta, Indonesia to attend the 43rd Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit from September 5 to 7. Marcos's plane took off from Villamor Air Base in Pasay City Monday afternoon with numerous cabinet secretaries to see him off. This year's ASEAN chair, Indonesian President Joko Widodo, had invited Marcos and other leaders in the region to follow up discussions that took place at the 42nd ASEAN Summit in May. Marcos and other regional leaders are expected to produce 90 targeted documents that tackle issues such as food security and nutrition in response to crisis, protection of migrant workers, digital economy, and climate change. The president is also expected to promote a rules-based international order, including the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, especially in the South China Sea.
My participation will highlight our advocacies in promoting a rules-based international order, including in the South China Sea, strengthening food security, calling for climate justice, tapping the potential of the digital and creative economies, protecting migrant workers in crisis situations, as well as combating trafficking in persons.
Marcos will also hold bilateral meetings with his counterparts from Cambodia, Vietnam, South Korea, and Timor-Leste. Other than regional leaders, Marcos is set to meet with the ASEAN Business Advisory Council. This is Marcos's third trip to Indonesia during his presidency. The Philippine Coast Guard reports that an oil spill occurred after a tugboat sank off the waters of Naga anchorage in Cebu's Naga town over the weekend. According to the PCG, the hull of the tugboat, M Tugboat 2, was damaged, particularly its steering portion inside the engine room. This caused flooding in the boat, and it eventually became fully submerged. Afterwards, the PCG team moved to contain the oil spill that resulted from the incident. The PCG's report says it used 3 segments of oil spill boom, 2 bales of absorbent pads, and 4 segments of absorbent boom to control the oil spill. The total impact of the spillage has yet to be determined.
Hindi na kailangan pang magbigay ng assurance si Barbie Forteza sa kanyang boyfriend na si Jack Roberto na walang mangyayaring something sa kanila ni David Licauco. Ayon sa Kapuso Primetime Drama Princess, alam niyang trabaho lang ang ginagawa nila ni David kaya hindi niya kailangan pang ipamukha kay Jack ang kanyang loyalty bilang girlfriend. Ayon kay Barbie, super friends lang talaga sila ni David at nagpapasalamat siya dahil nakatagpo siya ng kaibigan at katrabaho na nirerespeto ang kanyang personal life. Ipinagdiinan din ni Barbie na wala talaga silang pakialamanan ni Jack pagdating sa diskarte nila sa kanilang showbiz career. Hiwalay daw ang personal nilang buhay sa trabaho. Alam daw ng aktres kung ano ang gusto niya sa buhay at kung anong career path ang nais niyang tahakin at lalong hindi niya kailangan ng boyfriend para magsabi kung ano ang dapat niyang gawin. Samantala, inamin din ng dalaga na mas touchy daw si Jack kesa sa kanya at mahilig din silang lumabas at mag-date kaya naman kapag nagkaroon sila ng free time talagang nag-e-effort sila para makapag-bonding. Nag-share din si Barbie ng ilang tips para sa mga magjowa para mabalanse ang isang relasyon at para mas maging solid pa ang pagsasama.
Basta dapat yung partner mo ay tutulungan kayong mag-grow into a better version. Dapat yung partner nyo will serve more as an inspiration more than an instruction, di ba? mas pinapasaya ka kaysa stress ka, and mas tinutulungan ka mag-improve yung sarili mo. Like, hindi ka kinakakot or hindi ka pinipigilang gawin kung ano yung gusto mo. Kasi tayo mga babae sa panahon ngayon, diba? Parang ayaw na natin ng pinokontrol tayo. Ayaw na natin ng sinasabihan tayo kung anong dapat gawin. Alam na natin yun. And, yun lang, I think napakalaking bagay lang na very supportive kami sa isa't isa.